Well, if you're looking for something interesting to read and you really have an appreciation for U.S. history, you might get a kick out of this next interview. Our next guest served as a chief executive. He also sold three successful technology companies before writing the very book we are about to speak of, featuring a whole history of U.S. presidents.
Absolutely. Author Ron Gruner joining us now on President's Day of all the days. He is the author of We the Presidents, How American Presidents Shaped the Last Century. Ron, how are you, my friend?
Very well, very well. Thanks for the invitation. Looking forward to chatting with you.
Of course, very nice to have you. Let's talk about, obviously, your research that you've done over the years. The most interesting fact that you learned about a president in the creation of this book.
Well, the most interesting fact, I guess, one of the most interesting facts, there's a number, but was probably my opinion of Warren G. Harding. He was the first president I covered, and virtually every presidential survey rates him at the bottom of the ladder, number the worst or the second or third worst. And actually, he's a much better president than people give him credit for. He was tarred by scandals after he passed away, but he did a number of very good things that even today we benefit from, including low taxation.
That is very interesting. You know, it is a good point you make that sometimes history has a way of locking in someone's kind of reputation or these, scandals he was a part of may have kind of tainted the way we view him. But as you went back, you discovered quite a few things about him. I'm sure there's so many interesting facts to pull up. So you covered Harding all the way through President Trump in your book?
That's correct. Harding was the first in 1921, and Donald Trump, of course, was the last in 2021. 17 presidents in total.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And if it wasn't for FDR, it would have been 18 or 19, but he was in there for a while. Which president was the most fun to research over them all? Like, who had the most, the most exciting, background or the most exciting things to look at?
Well, I think the most surprising one to me was probably Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter is viewed by many people as a failed president because he lost so badly to Ronald Reagan and because of the Iran hostage crisis. But he did many things that surprised me. He deregulated more than any president in the last century. He deregulated aviation, railroads, transportation, trucking, energy. He basically focused on conservation. Without conservation, we would not be an energy independent country today. Mm-hmm. He fired Arthur Burns in the Federal Reserve and hired Paul Volcker, who fixed inflation. He's a much better president than people give him credit for.
Yeah, JJ and I were literally just having this conversation.
We were just mentioning him.
I'm looking back at the presidents of my lifetime.
Yes.
And I don't think that any of them really served the people over corporate interests. But Jimmy Carter, he's still building homes, and he's like 99 years old. The guy seems like the real deal.
He is the real deal. And I think one of the things he suffers from is he was a poor politician. He communicated poorly to the American public. He never promoted himself. And many presidents have done that far better than he has, and he's suffered from that.
That's so interesting. Ron, we want people to be able to get a copy of your book, We the Presidents. We see the website here. Where else can people get a copy?
Well, I'd suggest you go to your local bookstore. If they don't have the book available, We the Presidents, then ask them to order it. You'll get it in a few days. And if that's not possible, you can always go online to, of course, Amazon and Apple and Google. All have online versions of the book you can access almost immediately.
Is there a trend?
Super easy.
Is there a trend that you're seeing with the presidents as the years have gone on over the past century, the direction and where our country and where our leadership is headed?
No, if there's a trend, it's that history repeats itself. I was surprised that with Warren G. Harding, he was the first president to run on the slogan "America First."
Oh, wow.
America First was his. Then that happened again in the late 1930s when Americans were trying to stay out of the European war. America First became a campaign committee. And then, of course, with Donald Trump. So if you go back and study the presidents over, in my case, 100 years, you see history repeating itself repeatedly on a number of areas, not just politics like America First, but also economically, and how economic trends have kind of repeated themselves over a period of, say, 30 to 40 years.
All right, so in about 30 years, I'm going to buy some homes, and then 10 years later, they're going to be worth a lot more. Got it, okay.
I'm finding that quite comforting, that history repeats itself, because I think there's a lot of unease currently in the political climate, and a lot of folks think everything is changing and it will never be the same again. And in fact, what you're saying is maybe take a look at history. You might be comforted. There's a bit of a cycle here. Can I ask you, in terms of like respect for the office of presidency, has that really changed in our current climate? Are we less respectful of the office, or has the opposite political party always been kind of critical of whoever is in office?
No, they've always been critical. Politics has always been a tough business, going all the way back to Washington, Adams, and Jefferson. Very, very tough business. So that hasn't changed at all. If you read the early presidents, they were malicious in terms of how they treated each other. And political parties evolved in the first presidency of Washington, and it was a tough business even back then. So today's no different. Every generation thinks they live in unique times. That's not true. It's
social media.
We've seen it before.
Social media does shake things up a little bit, though.
Well, it does, but newspapers became so predominant in the late 19th century that was almost the same.
Gotcha. It just took a little longer to tweet it back then. My friend, great to talk to you, and this seems like a really interesting book. Hope people pick it up.
It does. Thank you, Ron.
Good. Thanks for your time. I enjoyed it.
All right. If you'd like to pick up a copy for yourself and learn more, go to wethepresidents.us.